Hi, and welcome to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. I'm Dupe Witherick, alcohol free wellbeing and transformational coach, and the best selling author of A Cocktail of Clarity, How to Ditch Drinking, Embody a Joyful New Identity, and Thrive Alcohol Free. This podcast will show you that being alcohol free is not what the traditional narrative says. And even though alcohol is so ingrained in our society that it is okay to give yourself permission to stop drinking if you want to. And you do not have to wait until you hit rock bottom. It is certainly not boring, and I believe ditching drinking is just the start to living an extraordinary life. By getting rid of this one thing, it allows the doors to open to endless possibilities and opportunities. Each week, we will have guests on who are at various stages of the alcohol-free journey, from those who are curious to those who have been alcohol-free for years. We will also have experts on talking about different topics relating to alcohol and beyond. Through these conversations, you will discover what it means to thrive alcohol-free. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome to the latest episode of the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. I'm so pleased you're here. I was thinking, I can't believe we're nearly on episode 80. And so today's episode is episode 78. And I thought I'd do something a bit different. So I did a masterclass, which is a free masterclass called How to Break Up with Decades of Chasing External Validation and the 3 Ways to Become the Powerful Leader You're Meant to Be. And I know that's a bit of a mouthful, but it was a really powerful masterclass. And I don't know about you, but for years, I remember chasing external validation from probably childhood, where you wanted to get good grades, you wanted to make your parents proud, you wanted to fit in. And so you would people please and do things people in your community and your friendship group would do. And you're constantly looking for permission and approval outside of yourselves. And so this masterclass is really there to share the reasons we chase external validation and the hidden impact. 3 ways to step into your power, how to break free from old conditioning and make blind decisions. And we also talk about human design and leadership. So I thought I'd put it on here just as a different type of episode. And so I'd love to get your feedback. Feel free to DM me at Thrive Alcohol Free with this episode. So if you DM 78, I will then come back to you. I would love to get your feedback on this episode and whether you'd like to see more of these types of episodes as well. And so without further ado, here is the masterclass. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm so excited for this masterclass. How is everyone feeling? Is everyone feeling good? Are you all raring to go and ready for this? Yeah. Okay, so I am going to pull up my slides and I'm so excited for this. It's going to be really helpful for you and just give you a slightly different perspective of things. And so I will share my screen. So let's kick off. Okay, so welcome. I'm so pleased you're here and we'll find out. I'm hoping it's going to resonate. I know why you're maybe here. Hopefully we'll get to speak. If you have any comments, put them in the chat. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. And if you want to, go off mute and ask questions, I'm also happy to do that. But we're going to really talk about today how to break up with decades of chasing external validation and the 3 ways to become the powerful leader you were meant to be. And so what I'd really like, and it looks like you all are, just make sure that you're in a quiet space. You're not distracted. I know we could be looking at other things on our screen and everything else, but I really want you to just be with me for this hour because I think it's going to be really life-changing and you'll get so much out of it if you sort of focus and take notes if you can, and then stay till the end because I am going to be sharing a free gift with you. So everyone on the call is going to get this free gift. So what are we going to cover today? So we're going to cover the reason we chase external improvement and the hidden impact on that. And we'll go into that in a lot more detail, but I imagine you're here because for years you've probably been people pleasing, saying yes to things you didn't really want to do, saying yes because you felt that was the right thing to do, etc. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how to reclaim your self-worth from the inside out, how to embody authentic leadership, how to set boundaries and stop people pleasing, how to break free from that old conditioning, because a lot of it is just conditioning that we can stop doing, and how human design and leadership sort of works together. So I love human design. I'll go into that as well in a bit. And then practical confidence rituals to reinforce your power. And then finally, how travel and in-person experience has really helped me to unleash my inner wild woman and really see the matrix for what it is and step away from it. So hoping that you can do the same as well. So I'm going to start with just a bit about me, so you know why I'm talking to you, why I'm here, why I'm having this conversation with you, why you should listen to me. So I'm Dupe. I'm Dupe Witherick. I'm a mindset and success coach specializing in the alcohol-free lifestyle. I'm also the author of A Cocktail of Clarity, which I'm really proud of because it is an international bestseller and it's won an award as well. So if you haven't got a copy of that, there might be something coming at the end. And I'm the host of the Thrive Alcohol-Free podcast. I am a retreat host and I'm running a retreat in Bali this summer. And then I'm also a judge on the World Alcohol Free Awards. And I love my alcohol-free drinks. So that's really exciting. But to caveat that and where this comes from in terms of the decades of external validation, I was in the corporate world for 20 plus years. And I was a former executive director. I was in management consulting for many, many years. And yeah, I think in hindsight, I probably did a lot of external validation and thought that was how I needed to be. So I took a break from alcohol in 2020 and it was meant to be a 21-day break. There was no real reason for me to stop. I was fed up with it. It wasn't really settling on me and my health and everything else. So it probably was a good thing to do, but there was no rock bottom moment. It was just, let's take a 21-day break. But what I realized during that time was I wasn't giving up anything. I was only gaining. And magic really started to happen. And so I was headhunted and over doubled my salary for a role. But at the same time, I was qualifying as a transformational coach. And it really made me a bit torn in terms of which direction to go in. And I decided to keep going down the corporate route, knowing that eventually I was going to be a transformational coach, but I thought, let's try this. And so I got certified as a transformational coach and then got on to being an alcohol-free well-being coach. I also ran my first half marathon, having not run since school, so for 20 odd years in 2022, but then got really unwell. And I was probably at the fittest and healthiest I'd ever been in my life, but then got quite sick. And for about 6 months, I was in and out of the hospital. I was having loads of tests done. I was just poorly, and it got to a bit of a dark place where I was just not sleeping and up at like 3 a.m. And I discovered a book and I started reading this book and it was all about believing bigger. And I felt that there was something more, and I've been feeling there was something more for a couple of years. So probably since March 2020, I've been thinking about this something more. And so I remember it was probably about 2 a.m. I think it was in May. And I had this epiphany about Thrive Alcohol Free and what I wanted to do. And I was going to write a book and I was going to do a podcast and I was going to help lots and lots of women become alcohol free. And that was my goal. And that was where Thrive Alcohol Free came from. And then since then, I've published a book. I've also discovered human design, which has fundamentally changed and revalidated from an internal perspective who I am, why I'm here, what I'm doing, and how best to make aligned decisions. And then I ran my second marathon last year and I left the corporate world. And so all of that happened in a relatively short space of time. And I like to say, listen, this isn't about me going, look at me. It's about come with me and see what's possible. And if you have been thinking you want more, that you're tired of always saying yes to things that you don't want to do, you feel like you're constantly looking outside yourself for things, I'm here to tell you it's all within you and you can do anything you want to do. And finally, we spent a month in Bali last summer and then decided to be digital nomads. So we currently live in Marrakesh and we work in Marrakesh. I say that we do go back and forth to the UK quite a bit, but we've been mainly based here for the past 3-4 months. And yeah, it's just really amazing what can happen in the space of this time. So I wanted to share that with you just to give some context. And in terms of what I do, I help women not only ditch alcohol, but gain that clarity, confidence, energy, passion, and purpose so they can create their dreamiest life that they're destined for. And that's what I want for everyone. I want everyone to just be living the life that they know they should be living, not living someone else's life. So you might have come across this class and come across me because you may have been spending years trying to prove your worth through career success, achievements, or others' approval. You might be feeling a bit drained, you might be feeling unfulfilled or disconnected in some way from your true purpose. You might not even know what your purpose is. I mean, that's such a big question, right? What is my purpose? Everyone talks about purpose. It's thrown around like it's this massive thing. And I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves to think, I need to know my purpose. And so we'll talk about that as well. But ultimately, that might be another reason you're here. You might be here because you know you want more and you're meant for more, but you're afraid. And I always say that on the other side of fear is everything you want. On the other side of your comfort zone is everything you want. It's all waiting there for you, but we need to get over those barriers and those hurdles. And people pleasing might be another reason why you're here. You might have been people pleasing for years. You might be an ex-people pleaser, but then sometimes go back into those old habits. That's really easy to do as well. And self-doubt, might also be keeping you from getting what you want, because you might be thinking, I'm not enough, X enough, good enough, old enough, young enough, whatever enough. And so you might be here for that. Or you might just have been doing all the things for everyone else and not really getting the recognition, and you want to be seen and valued as the confident, powerful leader that you are meant to be. So if that's you, I'd love you to go into Instagram and DM me a heart emoji at Thrive Alcohol Free. I don't know why there's an extra F there, ignore that. But at Thrive Alcohol Free, DM me a heart so that I know you. And I can say, we could talk, and I can obviously just acknowledge that about you, and just be there for you. So you might also, though, be struggling with trusting yourself with what you want and embracing that authentic leader that you know you are. You might not know which direction you want to go in, and you might not be taking that decisive action to actually get to that place. You might be struggling to make decisions in a way that align to you. And you might be doing what everyone else says you should do to keep them happy, keep them on side, just keep everyone liking you. And in that way, you're potentially losing yourself, or you feel like you've lost yourself. You might not really know what your true strengths are and what to do with them if you do know them. You might not be feeling like you can do something that you really want to do just because it's so uncommon, it's so different, it goes against norm. Society says you shouldn't. For me, it was, what the hell, why are you not drinking when you haven't got a problem, right? And it's completely different to what everyone says you should do. And I don't know if you don't drink, this isn't, this is for everybody, so don't worry if you do drink. But if you don't drink, you might have noticed that, and I was saying it to my husband the other day, every TV show, every film that we watch seems to have people drinking all the time, and there's no consequence. They all look amazing, they're all powerful people, and they're just drinking loads and loads of wine. So no wonder we're all conditioned to think that you can drink lots, you could be powerful, you could be amazing, and nothing happens. So the final thing is, I want to emphasize this, you know that there is so much inside you and that you are more than capable, but you're not giving yourself permission to step into that. So if you're here and you feel any of those things, I see you, I've got you, and I'm excited. So I promise you that there is an easier way. I know, as for years, I climbed that ladder, and eventually I realized it was up against the wrong wall. I followed the crowd. I did the things everyone said I should do, but I didn't maybe listen to my inner guidance, or I knew it was there. I had those whispers, I had those nudges, but there was always there's the next thing, there's the next promotion, there's the next thing to do, there's the next, there's the bigger thing, the bigger whatever to get. So it is possible. So we're here to learn about how to break up with those decades of chasing external validation and become the powerful leader that you're meant to be. So as I mentioned, for years, I chased that external validation and what I thought success was on paper. And I remember, I'm going back as far as my childhood. And the reason I am is because I remember always wanting to get the good grades. Always, I was the eldest daughter. And so I always had to be an example for my younger brothers and make my parents proud. And, I cared about what people thought. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to belong. And that is because we're all human and we all want to belong. Belonging is a key trait of us as human beings. We all want to belong. We all want to fit in. We all want to feel like we're part of something. And so inevitably you can end up following the crowd. And so I was doing everything that looked good on paper and I was successful. But then I climbed Kilimanjaro in 2020 for charity. And I had this real strong sense, and this is what led to me stopping drinking in November, but there was more and I was meant for so much more. And prior to that, I'd really felt I'd lost my passion. I loved doing that challenge because it gave me this fire in my belly that I think I'd lost. And I talk about a lot The Greatest Showman. I don't know if you've seen The Greatest Showman, but the way that he is just so passionate about creating this dream that seems completely unrealistic and he keeps going after it. And I remember watching this and I'm probably going to embarrass myself here, but the very first time I watched it, I literally was bawling my eyes out because I suddenly realized I had no passion. I had nothing other than work and family. And actually, that's really sad. And so I felt like I was just going through the motions. And then it struck me as well that everyone above me, all the leaders, so-called senior leaders, were people that I didn't want to be. I loved people. I loved coaching. I'd always coached and mentored and developed leaders throughout my career. And that was my favorite part of the job. And one day someone told me that if I want to keep climbing, if I want to get to this pinnacle point, then I have to do much less stuff with people. And I couldn't do it. So I realized I had to make a choice and do something different. And when I ditched drinking, that was just the start of what ended up being this massive transformational and personal growth journey that has led me to where I am today, going on conferences, going to retreats, bending spoons, realizing how powerful I am, and discovering human design along the way as well has been key. So what I'd love to share that where I am now is exactly where I thought I was going to be on day one. I'd be lying. I didn't know any of this. This was completely unknown. And so what I like to say is you don't need to see the whole staircase at all. Just take that first step. I love that Martin Luther King quote. Take the first step and the staircase will appear. And literally that's what I did. I did one thing after another, and it's led me to where I am today. And it's been a journey of self-reflection, being uncomfortable with being uncommon and not following the norm, listening and deciding to follow my inner guidance and discovering what truly lights me up, and following my human design. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But just getting out of my comfort zone and discovering that there is a lot of power inside me. So when it comes to breaking free from external validation, I really want you to know that perfectionism, that all the pressure we put on ourselves to prove ourselves, people pleasing, it's all completely normal. And so many people struggle with this. Many people just don't realize that they're constantly living for this external approval. And that can lead to burnout. It can lead to lack of fulfillment. It can lead to loss of confidence as well. And today is really the day that I want you to realize it's possible to truly live as your most authentic self, who you trust yourself, you really know your inner validation, you have that unshakable confidence. It's really time to stop seeking permission and start trusting yourself. So why do we chase external validation? And I've touched on it. Societal conditioning is a key thing, and people expecting things from you from a career perspective. I don't know about you, but when we were growing up, there weren't influencers, there wasn't social media, there weren't phones, and it was, you had to go down this certain path. This was a good job, this wasn't a good job. Your career person, I can't remember what they were called at school, but they would say, well, based on your grades, then you could do this. And if you didn't get those grades, you can't do that. It was all very black and white. And what I've learned along the way is it doesn't have to be linear. It's very much a squiggly line, and you can pivot and you could do different things, and there are opportunities out there that you would never imagine. And we also chase external validation because the subconscious mind is so trained and wired for needing approval, for keeping us safe. And so our subconscious mind was programmed up until the age of 7, that's when we were sponges and we were taking on all this information, things from our parents, from our teachers, from society, what we were seeing. And actually, a lot of the limiting beliefs, a lot of the things that we hold on to now, and really our everyday, we run on 95% of our subconscious mind. So a lot of the things we do are just automatic, and we don't think about things. Our thoughts are pretty much programmed. And although we get lots of thoughts, unless we're consciously looking to create new thoughts, we could literally run the same day over and over again. And then finally, there's this illusion of safety in seeking external validation, because we think that because everyone else is doing it, it must be the right thing to do. It must be me that's odd if I want to do something different. And actually, by following everyone else, it means that I'm safe. And again, our subconscious mind wants to keep us safe. And so that's why we chase it. So it's nobody's fault. But what has actually happened and what happens to people is this hidden impact. We constantly end up shifting our behavior and our identity based on others' opinions. So if I give another example, I'm talking a lot about drink because I do a lot of work with people who want to stop drinking. But for me, it's you're the Prosecco queen, or you're the G&T person, or you're the person who's the party one who's going to be there till the end of the night. You're going to get the party going. All of those things, we have these identities. You're the hard worker. You're the one who we can rely on to basically do anything, and we're always going to go to you. So you get this identity, and you can end up living in this identity and thinking that that's you. And actually, they might be labels and identities that others have put on you that you just absorbed. There's also the cycle of overworking, over-delivering, and never feeling enough. And that's another impact of just constantly chasing this external validation, trying to be good enough, trying to be this enough. And again, we then turn to things like alcohol and other numbing mechanisms to help us through all of that. And so there's a huge impact to us with external validation. And that's what I want to highlight today. So how do you change that? How do you step into your power? And so I want to share 3 ways. There are more than 3 ways, but I'm going to share 3 ways today. I don't want to overwhelm you with all the information, but number 1, it's really reclaiming your self-worth from the inside out. I say to everybody, you are not your achievements. You are not your identity. You are not the labels people have put on you. You are just you, and the value that's within you is inherent, and it's not because of anything else. You are worthy, you are loved, you are enough, full stop. There's nothing outside that. All the other things that come outside of that are a bonus. But also, you need to make sure you're doing those things for the right reasons. But I really want you to know that you are enough just as you are. You're highly valued. There's nothing that you need to worry about. Everything you need is inside you. But one of the things we need to do is we need to rebuild that trust within ourselves, because we say to ourselves, or we know deep down that we want to do something, or we're going to do something. We make promises to maybe moderate from drinking, for example. And we say to ourselves, right, well, I'm not going to drink on a Monday to a Wednesday. I'll have one on a Thursday, because Thursday night, is when we all go out after work. Friday night, I might have 2. Saturday, well, I might just have 1 and stay in. And then you end up drinking on the Tuesday, having 3 on the Thursday, going out and getting pretty pissed on the Saturday. And then you realize you're not keeping your promises. And then you're back to square one. And what we're doing actually is we are knocking our own self-confidence, because every time we make a promise to ourselves, and that's also with going after our goals and going after our dreams, if we say we want to do something, we're going to do one step towards that today, and then we don't do it, we're saying to ourselves we can't. We're saying to ourselves we're not capable. We're saying to ourselves that we can't trust ourselves. And so that then starts to really knock our own self-confidence. And so one of the things I want to share today is really some daily practices to help you to start building that self-trust. And so there's journaling. I know a lot of people talk about journaling, and I know lots of people actually don't like writing, because we don't really write. We type and we do voice notes. So I say, why don't you do voice notes instead of journaling? But literally thinking about, what is it you want? What can you do today What's the intention I want to set? What is the one thing I want to achieve? What's that one bold action that I want to do today that I'm going to do so that I can actually say, yes, I'm actually building my self-trust and I am keeping my promises to myself. I'm sure you might have heard of the power pose. It is really good. It's put your hands on your hips, stand up, put your hands up. I'm not going to make you all do it, but you could stand up, put your hands on your hips and just stand there and breathe, a bit like a Wonder Woman pose. And just doing that for a couple of minutes really sort of gives you that energy to start thinking about how powerful you are and what you're capable of. And then finally, affirmations. Affirmations are really helpful. You can write things down on notes, sticky notes. You can put things on your mirror, have things up that just remind you who you are, and who you are is amazing. It's not about the achievements. You are fundamentally perfect in every way. And so it's all about doing these daily little habits to help you to really reclaim that self-worth. And then the second thing you can do is embody authentic leadership. And leadership is not a title. And everyone, to me, is a leader, no matter what you do, no matter what your role is, no matter whether you work or you don't work, we're all leaders. And it's all about our presence, our energy, and our impact. A lot of people go into a room and meet people for the first time, and you can tell the people that sort of repel you and the people that you want to chat to more. You can feel people's energy. You can go into a room and actually think, oh, this doesn't feel like a good space. I don't know if I want to be here. We are energy ultimately. And I think we underestimate the power of our energy and how much impact we can have because of that. So that's why I say leadership is not a title. Leadership is absolutely your inner being. And it's really shifting from proving that you're a leader or proving that you need to do all the things to just leading with confidence, to just being you and stepping into any room and knowing you are capable, you are worthy, you are loved, you are able to do anything, and you deserve to be in any room that you find yourself in. And understanding your human design can really help you with effortless leadership. So we'll get to that in a bit. And then the third thing is all about boundaries and really cultivating and getting that unshakable confidence. And I don't know about you, but setting boundaries for me used to be a really tricky thing, especially at work. I used to say yes to everything and then suddenly find I had all these things to do. And I'd be like, actually, why did I say yes to that when someone else could have done it? But again, I think people became very dependent on me to show up and to do stuff, and I'd get shit done. And so it was always, I was always asked, and then I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll get it done. I'll get this done. But it's really crucial for us to set boundaries. Again, from a health perspective, setting boundaries is really a necessity. And we do need to be aware of what we're doing, why we're doing it. And I say that if you can take a pause when someone asks you something and say, listen, I'll come back to you, and not give us answers straight away, you then have time to really think about whether it's the right thing for you to do, whether you have the capacity to do it. And then going back in a positive way, not just saying no. You could just say, I've got too much on, or I'd love the opportunity, but it's not going to work for me right now. Maybe it's something we can come back to. But ultimately, I think we do know whether things are a yes or a no as well, deep down, but we just tend to not give ourselves that credit that we can just say no to things. And I do think if it's a no, just say, no, I don't want to do it. And then visualization is something that I do with my clients, and making that decision that you are going to really look at your future self and who you want to be, and every decision you make is actually going to help you get there. And thinking about what is it that you want to achieve, who is the person that I'm going to be, what does that look like, what am I doing, how do I feel, and visualizing your future self, then you can start to build that confidence and actually realize, well, your future self, your future person who's doing X, Y, and Z wouldn't be doing this. So why am I saying yes now? And start living in that energy now. I also think it's really important for us to let go of old stories that keep us small. A lot of the stories, as I've said, a lot of the thoughts we have, the limiting beliefs, are all to do with our subconscious mind. And so actually we're carrying things from age 7, right? still in our 40s that we haven't worked through. We think it's because of X, Y, and Z, but it's because our subconscious mind is just doing the same thing. So we have to reprogram it, and we have to think slightly differently. So if there's anything that you think you want to let go of, I really want you to think about this throughout the rest of this conversation. And then finally, investing in a community and mentorship is really helpful when you want to sustain this sort of change. Because as I said, you quickly go into your old patterns. You quickly go into doing the things you've always done. And they say the 5 people you surround yourself with are the people that are going to really shape you, and you're going to be very similar. So you want to find community and like-minded people that are going where you want to go, that are doing things you want to do. It's not easy if you're drinking to then go to the pub every night with your friends, because actually that's not going to help you. Inevitably, you're probably going to get back into that because that's who you're surrounding yourself with. So really thinking about who do I want to be? Who is my future self? What can I say no to? What are my boundaries? What are those stories that are keeping me stuck, keeping me small? And who can I maybe start to, and I'm not saying get rid of all your friends. So let me just make that really clear. I'm not saying that that's what you need to do. What I'm saying is just start to think about who do you want to surround yourself, who could potentially help you to get to where you're going and sustain that change. And so in terms of breaking free from that old conditioning, it's all about unlearning who the world's told you to be. So we all have these narratives in our head. Anything that's happened to us, something that's happened to one person, the exact same thing can happen to another person, but it's the meaning that we put on it, and it's the narrative that we put on it. So how I take something and how you take something could be completely different. So it's how to recognize that conditioning and then rewrite the narrative. And human design, which is why I keep talking about it, why it's so amazing, is a deconditioning tool. So it tells you all the things, what your strengths are. And then based on your strengths, you also then hear what the shadows are. So what are the challenges that you could potentially find? And so when you go through your human design, you also get to understand that. And so let me talk a little bit about human design and leadership. And if you don't know what human design is, I encourage you to go to my website and go to thrivealcoholfree.com/human design. You can get your chart as well and look at that afterwards. I'm going to send the replay, so you can always listen to this at a later point. But it's a really good tool to help leaders truly understand their true strengths and their best decision-making strategies. It also helps you to become more aligned. And when you're in alignment, you don't suffer from burnout. You don't really feel like you're not in control or you're not able to make those decisions. You can't set boundaries. You're much more in your flow. You're much more trusting, and you are able to then have that greater impact. And when you stop leading the way society expects you to and start leading your way, whatever way that is, and trusting that that is the right way for you, everything changes. And so human design has energy types, and I'm only going to touch on the energy types and the strengths and challenges for the types. And so everyone is going to be one of 5 energy types. You're going to be a manifestor, a generator, a manifesting generator, a projector, or a reflector. And depending on your type, we'll talk about what leadership styles you have, what strengths you potentially have with that type. But when you go through a human design session and you start working with your human design, we not only talk about types, we talk about how to make aligned decisions, we talk about your strengths, your purpose, the character you're meant to play in the world, and all the shadow work, which is that conditioning, and how do we get rid of the conditioning so that we can decondition. And so I'm going to talk through the natural strengths of each of the energy types. And so, as I said, you can download your chart after this and go re-listen, or if you know what you are, I'd love to hear whether or not this resonates. And from a leadership perspective, I'm going to go through the strengths and then what you could be challenged with. And I'll also give you a little example of someone that you might know. And so manifestors are the initiators. They're the go-getters. They're the people that really start trends, start movements. They're visionary. They are very good at creating things as long as it's on their own terms. They've got the freedom to do it. They are very naturally impactful, and they shift industries. And so that's the manifester. But the challenge with manifestors and the shadows that they might see are that they could struggle with keeping others informed, because manifestors just want to get on with it. They don't want to tell anyone what's going on. They want to just say, right, I'm doing this, and get on with it. And so if you're a manifestor, it's really helpful to tell people what you're doing. It's not asking for permission, but just saying, this is what I'm going to do, and getting on with it. And also, manifestors are very good at starting something and then getting out. So if you've met anyone, if you know anybody, if you do project work, so I was a consultant for many years, I knew quite a few people who literally would just start the thing and then disappear, and you'd end up doing all the work. And so they're not good at sustaining long-term projects. Another challenge is they might feel a bit misunderstood, or like they don't fit in traditional work structures, because, as I said, they're very much disruptors. They're very much people who don't want to ask for permission. They want to just get on with things. And so by understanding just that, if you're a manifestor, you might then be able to work out what you can potentially do differently. So Steve Jobs, who we all know, was a disruptor, and he really trusted his inner vision and initiated change from where Apple was to where it ended up and where it is now, and just the mahouthness of it all is amazing. But he wasn't waiting for permission. He just got on with it. And so generators and manifesting generators probably make up about 70% of society. So the majority of us fall into the manifesting generator. The manifestor that I just talked about is about 9-10%. And then the projectors, 20% of the people, and 1% are reflectors. So they're very small. So the generators are the builders. They're the people that just get on with stuff, that are able to do those sustainable projects, keep going, and they can master things, and they're very resilient. And so they thrive, though, when they're working on things that excite them. So if it doesn't light you up, it's going to make you feel burnt out. So if you say yes to things that don't light you up as a generator, you end up getting burnt out, even though you've got all the energy. You've got this magnetic energy, and you've got this sustainable energy that can keep you going and going like a Duracell bunny. And so the magnetic energy really not only draws people in, and it draws that enthusiasm for you in, but it also helps you keep going if you are doing the work that's aligned to you. But you can get frustrated when you think that you're doing something that's not fulfilling, or you've been forced into work that isn't fulfilling. And so we all know Oprah Winfrey, and she very much follows what energizes her. And obviously she has created a massive impact. Manifesting generators, these are the multi-passionate innovators. And so from a leadership perspective, they're very fast moving, they're dynamic, they're able to juggle multiple passions and do lots of things, and they pivot, and they're able to pivot, but sometimes they don't think they're allowed to pivot, and they need to stick on that linear path and follow the career ladder and do this, that, and the other. But actually pivoting is a good thing for them, because that's how they innovate, that's how they really thrive. And they tend to bring innovation, playfulness, and speed into their leadership as well. But they can sometimes feel scattered or overwhelmed by juggling too many things, and they can feel judged. And so I've given the example of myself, because the only other manifesting generator that I could find was Elon Musk. And I didn't really want to talk about him. So I thought I'd talk about myself. And my career is not linear. My career hasn't been linear at all. It's been very different. I've done lots of different things. I've worked on lots of different programs and projects. I've worked across the globe. There was one year I went to 13 countries in 1 year for a project. I have been a coach, I've been an accountant, I've been a management consultant. So I've done all the things. And currently I'm doing a lot of things. I'm a multi-passionate, alcohol-free entrepreneur. I'm a coach, author, speaker, podcast host, retreat host. So they're the manifesting generators. And so the last two, projectors are the guides. And so their leadership strength is really intuitive, wise, and able to see inefficiencies in systems and people. So they're the ones that are really the seers. They're the guides. They're the wise ones. They're the mentors, and they really advise rather than do. So my husband's a projector, and he definitely advises rather than does. No, he's a leadership consultant, but it's funny. But I think in terms of how they thrive, they work best when they're recognized. So when they're recognized for what they do and their expertise, rather than forcing their leadership on people, that's when it works really well for them. So, but the challenge for projectors is that they can sometimes feel burnt out because they're trying to keep up with the generator and manifesting generator. And energy wise, it's slightly different. And I think all energy types are amazing. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. You are what you are. But what I find is that projectors that I know are able to do a lot in a very short space of time. So when you look at like the 9 to 5, sitting in an office, not being flexible, some projectors struggle with that because actually they can get their work done in 3 hours, 4 hours, what could take someone 8 hours to do. And then they end up twiddling their thumbs and thinking, well, I'm not really making the most of my time. So then they can get frustrated. And also that can lead to burnout if they feel they're stuck in that 9 to 5 environment. They could also feel unseen and undervalued if they don't wait for the right invitations. So as a projector, it's really good for you to wait for the invitation. You need to wait for people rather than just give your advice, because actually when you give your advice, it could be seen in the wrong way. It could fall on deaf ears and it might not be very helpful from a leadership standpoint. And so an example of a projector leader is Barack Obama. And we all know he was very sort of strategic, influential, deeply recognized for his wisdom. And so that's the projectors. And then finally, the reflectors, who, as I said, are 1% of the population. So they're not many of them, but they are reflecting all of us. They are the wise observers with a unique ability to sense the pulse of their environment. They make excellent community leaders and they guide because they're like a mirror looking back at society, and they thrive in places where they're aligned and that they know that they're in the right environment. If you're not in the right environment as a reflector, this could be really negative and it can make you feel really drained. And one interesting thing about reflectors from a leadership perspective, when it comes to making big decisions, you do need more time. You actually need a lunar cycle. So that's like 28 days to actually make a big decision and be comfortable with it and sort of go through the motions before you make that decision. And so the example here is Sandra Bullock. As I said, there are not many reflectors, so they're quite hard to find. And her ability to really observe and adapt to various roles that she's played over the years, plus her philanthropic work, really shows the reflector in her. So what I want to do at the moment is just pause for a second. Okay, so a question I want you to reflect on is, what is one belief about success that you want to let go of based on what you've heard so far? And I'd like you to just write that down or just think about it and maybe come back to this. But what's that one belief about success that you want to let go of today? So what's your next step? What do you do with all of this? Oh, I've just seen something come through. Let me see. I think I have a bit more me across all the energies. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you might do. Interesting. And Nicole feels the same way. Yeah. It's really interesting because what you might find is, from an energy type perspective, you are seeing lots of different things, but it's your strengths. It's when you delve into your strengths, and you might mean you've got some strengths that would maybe be associated with one of the types or some of the types, which is why you feel that you actually have a bit of you across everything. So it's well worth going into your own personal human design, because obviously in an hour I can only cover so much. And I just thought I wanted to touch on those, but there's so much more. It's so many layers, and I'm still discovering things. It's like an onion. You're just peeling off all the layers. And actually, the more you get into it and follow and trust your human design, your authority, and how you respond to things, etc., the better it is. Okay, so you're a projector and you resonate with everything you said. Brilliant. Thank you. Okay, so what's your next step? Well, I wanted to introduce to you the Finding Freedom Retreat in Bali. And I'm talking about this because it is going to be a transformational, life-changing experience. And your transformation is waiting for you. And when I've been on retreats, when I've been in these in-person experiences, in a short space of time, everything can fundamentally change. So if you've been struggling with anything we've talked about, I really want you to consider whether this is something for you. So imagine having 8 days to completely reset, realign, and step into your highest power. what you're going to experience is deep self-discovery, healing, immersive coaching, a supportive group of like-minded women, and the breathtaking scenes of Bali. The retreat is just outside Ubud, about 5-minute drive, and it's stunning. I was there last year. It is a beautiful setting. It's a space for all of us to just really immerse ourselves and step off the hamster wheel, step off that constant running and not having time to think about anything, and just have 8 days to breathe. And if you're thinking that you need to have been on a retreat before, or you need to have everything figured out, or you need to be alcohol free, you need to have been alcohol free for years and years and months, that's not the case at all. Everyone's invited. It is going to be an alcohol-free setting just because I think you're going to get the most value from it. But that doesn't mean if you wanted to go out and do what you need to do, you can. But really, I would like to say that if you can be alcohol-free for these 8 days, it's going to be fundamentally life-changing. The experiences, the excursions, the coaching, the yoga, the women's circles, the whole thing is curated in a way that if you have that full clarity of mind for 8 days, you will come back changed. So what is it? It's 7 nights, life-changing retreat to step out of your comfort zone and go on a journey of self-discovery and make lifelong bonds with just incredible like-minded women. And you're going to really learn the power that's inside you, or relearn it because it's always been there. And you'll see what you're truly capable of through the daily coaching and the yoga. Every day we're going to do coaching. We're going to have a women's circle. We're going to be doing yoga. We're really going to delve into so many things that you'll be able to release and just feel lighter. And we'll be doing things like breath work, sound baths, healing ceremonies, water healing ceremonies, fire healing ceremonies, that you will finally just be able to let go of everything that's been holding you back. You'll be able to release all those old patterns. You'll learn tools such as EFT, meditation. So if you don't know what EFT is tapping. It's really good to release negative energy and to tap in positive energy. You'll learn meditation, visualization, so that when you come back, you can absolutely apply that in your daily life. And you'll discover your human design. You'll be able to embrace your emotions. You'll define your core values. You'll set goals and step into the future that you've always known was available to you, but may not have yet felt was possible. And so, as I mentioned, we'll be doing daily coaching, daily yoga, and women's circles. From the daily coaching and women's circles perspective, day one, we're going to get clear on our purpose and identity. That is the start. Fundamentally, we need to understand who we are, what we are, why we're doing what we're doing in order to move forward in anything. That's the start of any transformation. Day two is all about discovering what's holding you back. And then we'll review those areas where you're struggling, and you'll learn tools to just really know how to deal with them and release them. Day 4 is all about identifying your core values. Day 5, embracing your emotions. Day 6, reflection and getting clear on your goals. And day 7 is really when you embody that future self and step into your dreamless life. You're going to come back re-energized, full of power, full of purpose, and just clear on what you want and who you are. And it's all going to be underpinned by the mindset work that I do, the subconscious reprogramming that I do, and human design. And so we're going to be doing all these different activities and excursions, which I'm really excited about. Again, I've curated it in a way that we're going to have so much fun, but we're also going to do some really powerful things. So we've got a water healing ceremony, which we'll do. And then after that, we're going to swing across the rice fields in Bali. And this swing is, if you're going to release anything, we're going to do this on the first day. You'll be able to initially just release anything that might have been holding you back up until arriving and let it go, because it's a pretty hairy thing. You're harnessed onto this swing and you're flying in the air, which is an amazing experience. We'll be doing breath work. We're going to do some Balinese cooking. So hopefully you all like cooking, and we're going to get involved in doing some cooking. We're going to make mala beads. I made these little bracelets here when I was in Bali last year. And again, the lady who does that is incredible. She talks you through the different crystals and what they mean. And it's a really meditative experience. Then we'll be doing a fire healing ceremony. We'll do sound healing at the Pyramids of Chi, an amazing space as well. We're going to go to a cave waterfall. And as I said, we'll be doing that daily yoga to just ground us and get us in the right frame of mind. And Zoe, a friend of mine, is coming over to Bali to do that for us. And she is incredible. And so what's included? It's 7 nights in luxury. This is a photo of one of the rooms. They're all the same. You get a private deluxe room, and it's going to be where you can chill. All the rooms surround a pool. So we've got this pool, we've got a spa. You can just go and come as you please. And then we have everything arranged, airport transfers. So you get picked up in style and taken back to the airport in style. All the activities are included. All the transportation for the activities are included, and then you get all your meals other than 4 lunches. So they're really nourishing meals. They do amazing smoothies and juices as well. And so it's just going to support your transformative journey. And they're not just vegan. So it's not a vegan only. If people are thinking, I don't want to just go to a vegan place, you can choose what you want to eat as well. What's not included are the flights to and from Bali. Some of the meals, as I said, they're 4 lunches that aren't included, but that's really to create space for us to go out and explore a little bit and go to some of the local places. And as I said, Ubud is really close. So I want us to get out and explore as well. And then travel insurance, visa, just standard things, which aren't normally included in retreats, aren't included. And then if you have any transportation, if you want to sort of go out and about afterwards, as I said, there's a free shuttle from Ubud to the venue, which is great. But if you want other transportation, that's for you. And so I am offering an incredible offer. And I was saying earlier to someone that I'm not actually sure why I'm doing it, but I want people on this retreat, and I want you on this retreat, because I know it's going to be life-changing. And so I am offering, for the first 2 people who secure their place, 2 months of one-to-one coaching. So it's the 5th of June. So April and May will be one-to-one coaching with me. That normally is just under £2,000. And so the first 2 people to sign up will get that. Everyone's going to get a human design session, a one-to-one human design session before the retreat, because I want you to feel like you know yourself a little bit. And of course, as I said, there are lots of layers. There will be always things to learn and know, but everyone will then start on the right footing when it comes to human design and actually start thinking about what it is they want to create and how they want to really move forward and create that dreamiest life going forward. And then the final bonus is everyone's going to get a spa treatment as well, a complimentary spa treatment. The spa is amazing. This is a picture that I took of the spa, one of the spa rooms. It's just beautiful. The staff are amazing, and you can choose the treatment. Plus, if you book within the next 72 hours, you're going to get £1,000 discount as well. So I want you to go in and have a look at the link, but I will also put a link in the chat in a second where you can actually just secure your spot straight away. So you get the Finding Freedom retreat. The full price of that is normally £2,997. You will normally pay just under £2,000 for 2 months of intensive coaching with me, and then £197 for the human design session. You'll see that I haven't included the treatment as well, but that value alone is £5,192. And today I am offering anyone who signs up, there are only limited spots available. If you want to come along to the retreat, you have an option of paying in full or 2 monthly payments, but it's £1,997 for all of that today. And I'd love to see you there. I want you to see the transformation and see what's possible, because I believe that everyone needs to experience retreat. If you haven't experienced retreat, it is an incredible thing, and you do come back changed. And so what I'm offering today is you can go to the link. I'll put the link in the chat in a minute, as I said, to secure your spot with a £399 deposit today. And the first 2 women who do that will get the 2 months of coaching. But as I said, everyone's going to get a human design session and get a spa treatment as well. Okay, cool. I'd love you to journal maybe this evening. What do you want more than anything? So I'd like you to take that away as a question. These things can feel like they're massive questions, or they can feel like it's something you don't want to think about just now, or actually, where do you start? But just by journaling a bit about it and just writing something down, or as I said, speaking into your voice notes or making some notes on your notes app, then it just gets you thinking a bit about it. And what do you want more than anything is a really good place to start. And how would your life change if you no longer worry about external validation, if you fully step into your power, if you have the tools to create your dreamiest life and you took that decisive action and never looked back? How would your life change with those things? So maybe if you want to make a quick note of those. But again, just some food for thought. Maybe take one of the questions that you think is most relevant to you. And then final thoughts, just imagine what it would be like to let go of that external validation, to embrace the whole you, knowing that there's so much more ahead. You are ready to explore and create that life that you truly desire. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You know that making authentic connections with other like-minded women is going to be really beneficial and incredible for you. You are ready to fully step into your power of being your authentic self. And the people in your world, and we've talked about it earlier, but they're going to be so grateful when you really take that time for yourself, when you come back the most healed, the most vibrant, the most powerful version of yourself. And as we talked about, there are lots of ways you can do that, but how do you get to that spot where you can feel like that? And, let's try and journal and think about how you can do that today. And of course, thank you so much for attending. You can secure your spot on the retreat if that's something you're interested in. I'd love to see you there. It's a very small, intimate group, so no one's going to be lost. We're going to have lots of time with me. We're going to be, as I said, doing daily coaching. We're going to be together, really just unpacking things, but just in a really secure, non-judgmental, safe space. People that are on the call that worked with me know how I work, and it is very much non-judgmental, safe space where you are open to share anything and feel at ease. And so if you want to have a call, let me know. Head to my Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free. You can DM me and we can set up a separate call to talk about what next. But if you want to secure your spot, you can do that with the 399 deposit. And I've shared the link in the chat. And so the free resource that I have for you is my Cocktail of Clarity ebook. So if you DM me book on Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free, I will send that to you. And I'd love to share that with you, as I know it's going to be a really helpful resource if you're thinking about stopping drinking, if you have stopped drinking, if you've stopped drinking for 4 or 5 years, because it takes you on a whole journey from foundation to first to freedom. So I'd love to gift that to you. And thank you again for being here. I really appreciate it. Some nuggets. And I also really hope you followed the journal prompts and really thought about what it is you really want. And so what the one belief about success that you wanted to let go of was, and also what did you want more than anything? I'd love to hear. So as I said, get in touch, DM me at Thrive Alcohol Free, and I'd love to have a conversation. Or feel free to send me an email at dw@thrivealcoholfree.com. I'd love to hear from you. So I hope you have the most wonderful week, and let me know if there's anything that I can do to help you or support you. If you have any questions, if you're curious about becoming alcohol free, then I encourage you to sign up to the 21-day challenge. It's a great way to start your alcohol free journey. So if that's of interest, then do let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you. And I hope you have the most wonderful week. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe so you get alerted every time I drop a new episode. I'd love it if you could rate, review, and share this episode. Feel free to tag me on Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free and follow me for daily tips. If you would like to work with me, I offer one-to-one coaching sessions and have my signature Thrive Alcohol Free Society group coaching program. If you're not yet ready for coaching, I also have a self-paced online course, which is a companion to my book, A Cocktail of Clarity. All the links are in the show notes. I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Take care.